Hey guys, welcome to the very last episode of 2023. Yay! This episode is kind of like a kicker for 2024 podcast era and me just really diving more into the consistency of posting and just getting good things out of me that I feel that God has placed in me and through experience and whatnot. So, we're going to start with today's episode. I might break this down in 3 parts depending on how long it is. I'm trying not to make this super long. If believe it or not, this is like the 3rd time I'm filming this. So let's just get right. This episode is about 3 things I have learned from 2023 and that I'm taking over to 2024. 3 things that has been really hard for me in respect to specific events that kind of made me, I guess, decide on these 3. I'm still in the process of accepting some of these and adequately acting accordingly or moving accordingly, so to speak. So let's just get into it. The first thing is not ignoring your intuition the first time around. This is something that this is something that I have been working on for like the longest. Trusting yourself and trusting that, that ill feeling that you constantly get is not just for show. It's not just you overreacting. It's not just you making a big deal out of something small. It's not you being crazy. It's literally your spirit trying to tell you you need to do something. You need to move. You need to leave. Whatever it is you need to do, what you do right now ain't it. And when it comes to people, one thing that I've learned and heard a lot recently is that some people are your friends in the natural, but are not your friends in the spiritual. I'm gonna say that again. Some people are your friends in the natural, but not your friend in the spiritual. And what this means to me is that there are people in this world that you will encounter and you could have a close relationship with them, and everything on the surface, on the outside, in the carnal looks great. You guys are good friends, buddies. However, in the spirit, they are your enemy. They are not for you. And the reason this is really important to me is because this speaks into a friendship. It speaks into relationship. And sometimes it speaks into family, right? You can know someone for years. You can know someone as well as you think you do. And then there's always that ill feeling. There's always something off that you just can't shake. And you have done the work of, am I crazy? Am I overreacting? Maybe I am reacting from like a traumatic place. And there's times where even for me, I would be like, well, we have fun together. I've had a good time with them. But then again, it's still that feeling that you can't shake, and to me, at least me specifically, it was my spirit telling me something is off. As good as it looks on paper is not all what it's cut up to be. And I listed a few things that I should have taken as a yellow/red flag, right? Because your body knows. Your body will tell you whether this person is for you, but your spirit will try to warn you until you do something about it. No matter how much this person claims to love you, no matter how much they say, I love you, I care for you, if something is off and they're not right in some aspect, your body will know. Your spirit will try to warn you. But what you can tell, how you can tell, if you're in a relationship, friendship, familyship, whatever it is how they act around you, what they say about you when they're around you, and how they speak to you. If there's any shift, like I said, do the work to really think like, am I the problem? And then when you realize you're not, then act accordingly. So a few things that I listed as far as the way they speak about you, right? If they praise you in front of others, whether it's your family or their other friends, and it's good things, awesome things. But in that moment of them saying all those wonderful things about you, if you can't say those same things about them, or if you're sitting there like, I don't feel this way about you. I don't feel like you got my back as much as I have yours. I don't feel like you will not talk about me in front of, in a negative way. I don't like, if you can't say the same thing or the basic thing that they're saying about you as far as being a good person, being a good friend, that's a yellow flag. That is a yellow flag right there. Another thing is, if you feel like the third wheel whenever a mutual friend is around, and that mutual friend is obviously like their friends, but you know when you go out, when you're hanging with majority of your friends, that feeling is not there. You go out the way to make sure they feel involved, right? But it's just the small little things that I feel like for me, I overlooked because I was like, I don't want to this is overreacting. This is me doing too much. But no, when you look back, you're like, oh my goodness, girl, you're crazy. You should have been done with this friendship a long time ago. And a few other things, when they talk about something they did for you, even if they gain benefits from it. Let's say you're in high school or college and you don't have a car, but they have a car. And whatever mutual place you guys want to go together, they drive, obviously, because you don't have a car. And they're not going to let you drive their car. But they always, like years later, they're bringing it up again as if like it was such a charity thing that they did, right? And it wasn't one of those, I picked her up, I drop her off. No, it's only if we're both going to the same place and I won. We're going at the same time. We plan it out together, then we go together. And the reason I even put that down is because why are they bringing it up years later? What's the importance of it, right? Because obviously it's not the same. And even if it is, you can always decide, like, not even if it is, but from my own experience, it is not the same. And it always gets brought up and I get annoyed. And I'm like, what? Like years ago? Like really? Okay, I'm sorry that I didn't have a car. Okay. Another thing is if they also consistently bring up something of an embarrassing moment from the past, right? An embarrassing moment happened, whether if you're illegal and you drink, you got drunk, you did something embarrassing, or you trip, or you just look really bad in a picture, and they bring it up all the time. Any chance they get. For me, it's like, you don't bring it up at all. I would never bring any embarrassing moment up for you because I don't know how you cope. I don't know what's going on. I don't know. And I'm not going to do that to you. Especially in a setting that you have shown me through your face. Like your face just don't look happy when I talk about it. And clearly it was embarrassing in the moment. I'm not going to take it as a historical thing to remember and bring up because that's not a good thing. That's not what friends do, right? And to add on to that, if they go out their way, if they film any embarrassing moments, that's one thing, cool. But then they post it on social media and don't see any problem with it. One thing that I learned early on in like college is no matter what kind of night it is, we don't film and we don't post, especially if people's faces are in there, unless everyone's agreeing to it. And especially if it's embarrassing, you don't do that. It's not even a second thought. So, you know, again, I'm speaking from experience, but these are just a few things that I overlooked. These are a few things that I did not like. At first, you know, it bothered me, but I didn't really take it into consideration. Like, this is not the qualities and the characteristics of someone that truly cares for you. Like they just wouldn't do it. Now, with that being said, I do know some people, everyone is different, and what is a big deal to someone is not the same to you. But if you voice that and you show that in any way, shape, or form that, hey, I do not like this, or this is not something for me to remember, this is not something that I like, and they continue to do it, they don't care. So all of that falls under following your intuition, because y'all, I stayed in this friendship. I stayed in this, and not just stayed, but I continued to, excuse me there, burping. I continued to allow access to me on like full throttle. And the reason, in my opinion, I think more things kept happening is because I kept allowing it. I wasn't like, oh, you're breaking this boundary of mine, this is what's going to happen. There was no rule. There was no consequences of it. I kind of just shove it off. It was like, oh, they don't mean no harm by it. Whether someone meant to be offensive or to harm you, if that is the result, it is still their duty to reassure you or say something like, no, I got you. I would never do that again. I'm so sorry that, my actions, my words affecting you in such a negative way. It is still their duty if they truly care for you, but that is just me. The second thing that I learned, respect your boundaries or no one else will, does tie into this, right? Respecting your boundaries. Don't allow being empathetic make you lower your standards or make you disrespect yourself. And the reason I say that is a lot of times for me, I'm quick to understand. I'm quick to rationalize or lower how big of it if someone did something to me. It's very easy for me to just lower it and just be like, oh, it's nothing. Like, I get it. It was messed up. But I don't think they meant it that way. I'm quick to rationalize just because I don't want to think that person would ever truly do something knowing that it will harm me. Because that's a whole nother aspect of life that I had to accept. That people will make decisions, even if it's out of a selfish reason, pride, but they know it's going to directly negatively impact you, but they do it anyways. And they still say you're friends. They still say they care about you or they love you. That is something that I truly had to cope with and learn to accept and learn to just expect in a way, which really sucks. One thing I did know here was this feeling of understanding and rationalize other negative behavior is a childhood thing for me. It didn't just start in my adulthood. When I was younger and I would get bullied, one of the first things that I was told by an adult was, oh, well, it was not because you did something wrong. It's not because you adequately said something or did something, so they're just choosing you to act out on. So think about what they're going through and why whatever it is at their house, at their home that is not going right, that calls them to say this or do this. Think about it. So at an early age, I was kind of conditioned to always be very thoughtful of those who cause harm, because you're supposed to forgive, you're supposed to let go, right? And because I had to think like that, I couldn't get upset. I couldn't express being upset or angry because then I'm in the wrong now. I know this person is going through it, and this played a lot of role in my friendships too, over the years, because it's I know you're on medication for depression. I know you're going through this. I know you have low self-esteem. I understand that you have like separation anxiety or whatever it is. So I can understand why you're such a horrible person to me. I get it. I don't like it, but I get it. And because I get it, I'm not going to allow myself to feel any type of way because I understand it and I understand. So it played a major role into my adulthood to where I had to like unlearn all of that. I had to do the work. I had to unlearn that, yeah, you can understand someone reasons, but you can't rationalize and make excuses for their actions, especially if it's consistently impacting you in a negative way, because there will come a time where you just won't be able to. And that's where I become this person who just cut people off. And it's horrible because I would cut you off. I would drop you like a hot potato. And it'll be, it is what it is. I will cold turkey you. And I don't want to be that person. I want to be able to have that conversation. But in order for me to have that conversation, I have to feel that negative emotion of your actions and be able to express it and be like, look, I didn't like this. And then, depending how the person react, walk away if I choose. But yeah, so if you don't respect your boundaries, you don't have your own boundaries, you don't have rules, you tend to allow people to do as they please, treat you as they please. And, you know, for me, at least, I learned that this came from a really young age, which brings me into my last point of something that I've learned is that understanding others' actions and the reason behind the way they act towards you, the way they behave, what they did, does not make it okay, does not mean you should accept it, does not mean you deserve it. And that is something that I really had to learn, is not to internalize that. Like, yes, I understand I didn't do anything to be yelled at. I didn't have a direct impact on how you're feeling, but you're taking it out on me. I understand that. And I need to also know, like, it's not right that you're taking it out on me, so I'm going to remove myself from this situation. Instead of me standing in line of fire and taking it because I understand. So I shouldn't feel bad about it. Like, it's crazy saying all of that and putting it into words, because for the longest, this is how I navigated the world growing up. And it was just like, and the crazy thing is, the more I grew, the more of an understanding person I became. And it looked like I was letting things go, when in reality, I wasn't. I didn't know how to. Where does it go when you let it go? You don't let it go, right? I remember when I came home one day from a break, this was like undergrad, my mom, something had happened, and my mom was like, Raina, you have changed. You don't let things go so easily no more, or whatever. Like, you don't just get over things in that sense, right? And I was like, well, I mean, if you have been conditioned to do that for years, but no one actually taught you the process of understanding those negative emotions that were in you because of someone else's actions, especially someone that's supposed to be caring and loving, where does it go? Those negative things don't just go. When you let it go, you don't let it go into like a bucket and throw it overseas. It doesn't go into the air. It stays in you. And now you have to walk around heavy with all of that, not really understanding why, you know? And until I did the work, until I went through, I had to go to a psychologist, because my body, there was like one point in my adult life, my body shut down on me due to stress. It shut down on me due to stress, and I kid you not, a 30-minute session turned into 2 hours, and I had all these like unresolved emotional resentment towards those in my life, because I let things go, and I understood I can explain why, like, it's so crazy and sad that I can explain why a criminal would do X, Y, and Z. I can understand, like, it's wrong. I can understand, like, I didn't deserve it. But, you know, I can explain it, and I can, I can explain it to the T. And for some reason, when I'm able to do that, it alleviates this thing of like, oh, now I don't have to feel bad. But you don't really get to control that always, especially when you never learn how to at a young age. What you think you're doing as far as not feeling bad or not letting it get to you or letting it go is just absorbing it in. And I was spiritually heavy because of that. And no one really understood, because on surface, you're this cheering person. You're happy and you're just like the life of the party. Everybody wants to be around you. And then it starts to leak a little bit. It leaks out because people learn like, oh shoot, I can't talk to her however. But it leaks out in a way that it comes across as disrespectful. And in my opinion, that's how good girls becomes the B word, because it leaks out. And then you learn this is the only way someone's going to respect me, if I am that person that they can talk to however they pleases. But I don't want to be that. That's not me. I'm a court. So if you're like that, you have to put in the work. You have to have your time with God. Go to therapy if you need to, because you being someone that you are not is not worth it, you know. And for me, what really helped was isolation from a lot of people, and just taking accountability of things that I allowed, situation that in my life when I look back on, which goes back to the first thing, it's like, girl, you should have ran that first time, but you didn't know how to, because you were taught to understand. You were taught to forgive and let go. You should have ran, but you felt bad even thinking about running, even thinking about the possibility of removing your access from this person. But that's all in the past. No more, okay? No more. And I can say all of that, but it is a continuous work that I had to put in. But yeah, so these are the 3 things that I am taking on to 2024. I will trust my intuition the first time around when it comes to people. Other things is easier for me too, but when it comes to people and relationships around me, I need to really work on that and continue to put in the work on that. And I also need to respect my boundaries, or I can't expect anyone else to. And make sure if I do make these rules and things that I too stick with them. And it's okay for me to understand what other people say, do. It's okay for me to understand those bad traits from others or those negative actions, those wrongs. But it does not mean I should rationalize it and even internalize it into like me deserving it. And it definitely does not mean I'm not allowed to feel upset or angry about it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and let me know if this is like one of these things or something that you're working on, you've worked on, and if you have any suggestions on adequately in, you know, adding that into your life or into my life or anyone's life in 2024, I would love to hear it. All right. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas. I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.